Joe, we're here.
Oh,
Morning.
hey.
Blessings upon you, my friends.
I don't even know what camera I'm using. This one? Oh, I'm
This
using the
one, yeah,
wrong one.
you're using that one. Yeah.
I'm like, who do I look at?
It's
And what's
always
really bad is I moved the microphone up here, so every so often you'll see me looking at the microphone thinking it's the camera.
mine's offside from where the camera sits because of the way this desk is. And I want to look at the screen because that's where Steve is at and the comments, right? But the
Yep.
camera's here and it's just freaking awkward.
Yeah.
And I need to rig up a way. I don't
It's
know.
hard. It's hard. So I have my reference screen of like what we're talking about and show notes and like we actually do prepare. It doesn't seem like it, but we do prepare. So all my notes are here. My camera is here. Jim is here, and the chat is there. That's why
Right.
you see me like looking all over the place sometimes. It's because everything's all over the place. The
Yeah.
best place for the camera is directly in front of the screen, which means I can't see the screen. So then I'm going like this, which I've done also.
And see, I need to do a little camera magic here right now. There we go. So it at least looks like I'm looking at Steve all the time because I'm looking to you. Oh my God. To me, I'm looking that way relative to me. But because of camera magic, even though I'm looking that way for me, it's actually, we do every show. It's a mystery. Stage right and stage left. I was never an actor, so I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. So we just do it live.
Well, yeah, live streaming brings on its own level of interesting things that happen because like yesterday on the Coffee and Ham Radio show, which this is not Coffee and Ham Radios,
No.
right when we hit the go live button, Ape's entire setup went to shit.
Yep. I, I,
It
I
was
mean,
working fine before.
we're sitting in the chat, just blah blah way. Chuck was showing us whatever he 3D printed that morning, and then Ape just he was a froze ape, and then he came back a little bit, and he was like a potato ape. So it's like, oh my gosh, oh my goodness. Good morning to everybody in the chat. I've typed it a bunch of you, and the ones I haven't typed out.
Yeah.
Howdy, thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
We ain't complaining. We're sharing. We love y'all, and we want to share everything with you, even the other, even the dirty stuff.
Right, right. The
That sounded
unwashed.
wrong. You know what I
It
meant. Stop
it
that.
did sound wrong. I'm like, you need to atone for your filthy mind, Stephen. It was terrible.
I
We
apologize.
we have been working on some stuff this morning related to a different channel, but we will have stuff at Orlando, at Dayton, and we will be there Wednesday. I'm rolling out Wednesday morning,
Yep, same.
and I'll land. I'm not landing. I'm driving. I'll arrive in Dayton around, God willing, and the Cincinnati traffic doesn't bone me like it did last year. It should be about 4 o'clock or so, 5 o'clock Dayton time. It's about a 9 hour drive, give or take. It's not terrible, but by the end of the drive, my butt is tired of sitting in that truck. What are we doing?
So Jimmy said he likes seeing how the sausage is made. So I'm taking a picture of the setup.
Oh,
I've
okay,
removed the show notes from the screen so
okay. I
nobody
mean,
can
that's
get a
classified.
sneak peek of what's going on.
That's G14 level
I'm gonna put this in the
TSSSBI
AP
compartmented
Labs.
information.
I'm gonna put this in the Ham Church channel on Discord. If you can share it out after I get it shared up after I find it. Church. Because I gotta, yeah. Again, technology. Now I took a picture on my mobile phone. I gotta use my mobile Discord. I gotta upload the picture. There.
Okay.
All right, go for it. Share it out.
Stand by.
See, I was telling him to get him prepared.
I know. I'm in need of coffee this morning. Seriously.
Yes, Phil. I took a picture of my sausage,
Oh
and
my
we're gonna share
lord.
it live.
Oh my lord. Please, no anything but that. There's behind the scenes at
Yeah.
Shea To.
So left side screen is the show notes that I've hidden, so y'all don't get any sneak peeks. Center is the camera. I've got a light above the screen to make me look to stand out from the dark background. Right side is the laptop with the actual streaming software going and the chat on the right side. And if I want to actually chat as me and not chat as Jim, like I can come down here and go, I am Jim. And now all of a sudden, y'all think Jim said that, but I said it.
Oh,
So I have to have my chat on the other side, and then those lights on the bottom of the shelf, if I turn those on, watch this. Pow!
wow.
Overbright.
That is a lot of Steve for this early in the morning.
Yeah. And then if you go all the way to the right side, you can see the T-Mobile home internet. So that's
That
how close
dingus,
I am to my Wi-Fi router. Yeah.
that dingus right there.
Yeah.
And then that's your microphone / pseudo camera.
That's it. Yeah, the microphone.
This is what you're looking at right now, right?
Yeah, that's this camera right here.
Now, where's your other camera?
That is on. It's the laptop camera.
Oh, the laptop camera over here on the right side.
So I'll change it to the FaceTime camera, and now it's over here. This camera and the FaceTime camera. This Mac I got last summer.
That don't look bad at all, dude.
M3. It actually looks really good, but this the Osmo Pocket 3 in the center there looks better. I think it looks a little dark. This is back to the Osmo. But this being an actual dedicated filming camera has a depth of field to it. I don't know camera terms because there's so much stuff I have to be an expert at. I can't be an expert at all of it.
That looks like but now I will say that's a very wide angle camera too.
It's 16 by 9, and then I have a fisheye lens for it.
Well,
too.
no, not the video resolution. The lens itself is like I don't know, probably a 26 or a 30. It looks pretty wide.
So here's the fisheye lens. Well, I guess you got to get me solo for that to make a difference. This is the fisheye, the wide angle lens, so you can see way out to the sides. That's the entire ham shack. And then it shrinks in a little bit. So
not much.
Let's see. Let me put my so you can see all of this back here in the corner. And if I take that off, that all goes away.
We do lose some of the up and down too.
And some of this goes away.
Yeah.
But this is a magnetic lens, and I'm always afraid of using it because I'm afraid it's going to fall off. So like the best time to use it would be when I'm out riding the motorcycle and sharing like POV,
right,
point of vision with y'all, and then that's when I'm going to lose the thing.
Well, that is awesome.
Technology's fun to play with, especially when it works.
I mean, that's why I like ham radio so much. It's all technology. Admittedly, a lot of it is from 1985, but still, or older, but it's still pretty fun.
Badger's asking about coffee cup. I have finished my coffee for the day, and now I'm on to Blue Goo.
I started with the Diet Dr. Pepper. That is my getting out of bed. I can't talk to anyone until I have that. And then I have my standard morning show coffee loadout here, which I think we're currently enjoying some Vietnamese coffee from the Atlas Coffee Club.
Nice. Thank you, Jimmy.
Oh,
this
my
is
goodness.
My dedicated ham shack. I've got, 6 feet of bench on this side here, and then another 6 feet of workbench behind me here. And then this here is another camera setup for top-down viewing, which I use this same Osmo camera mounted upside down. And then it's on a gimbal, so the head moves, so it's still right side up in the video shot.
I think that is a really cool setup, and then the modifications you've done to it, you really maximized. Because that was like a storage barn or something.
Bunkhouse. It was a bunkhouse.
That's right.
There was 4 beds here.
So what did you do with the beds? Did you sell them to somebody?
I sold them. I sell everything, man. I took them out of here, and I neatly, carefully, gently put them in the back of the SUV, and then I put them up on Facebook Marketplace and never took them out of the truck until the person came to pick them up. He helped me unload it from my truck into his truck.
I would be concerned for you, Andy Colley, except I know that there it is like 2:00 in the afternoon or something. So you just drink coffee all day. If I had 8 cups by now, I would taste color. I could see electrons. Yeah.
Well, caffeine's one of those things that the more you take, the less you feel its effects. And then if you stop, like if you go cold turkey and stop,
you
then
get
you get
unholy
caffeine withdrawals.
unholy headache. I tried that
Yeah.
one time. Yeah, no,
You
that's
can
not
you can
happening.
slowly ramp down to 0, or you can take some ibuprofen.
It was probably the worst headache I ever had. I mean, I thought maybe I was having a stroke or something, a brain tumor,
Yeah.
an instant acute brain tumor.
I guess we're not going to talk about ham radio today. We're talking about streaming and caffeine. I try to manage my caffeine intake
Warming up. We're warming
because
up the audience.
the stuff that tastes really good has a lot of caffeine in it or a lot of alcohol in it, and a lot of people drink a lot of alcohol at night to calm down and get tired. At which point they're
Too
like
bad.
really overtired the next day, and they drink a lot of caffeine to wake up from all the alcohol from the night before. So you try not to need that problem, but also like drink something that doesn't have caffeine in it that tastes good.
I can't imagine what that would actually be, but like Badger said, he can drink a pot of coffee and go to bed. Yeah, dude. I only drink coffee in the morning. She doesn't drink but 1 cup a day, and then she's out. Usually, if it's cold outside late at night, I may make a K cup or something because I do have some here, but we usually just do the 1 pot of coffee. This is all the coffee I'm going to have today. I don't drink it at work because the water at work tastes horrible and ruins everything. So
Yeah.
I get my
I have
water
trouble
in the
with
form
those.
of Diet Dr. Pepper, which I pretty much pound all day after the coffee's done. So anyway, so we are looking forward to Hamvention. I'm excited about it. It's a blast. It's a great time to meet people I haven't met, to hook up in the non-young people sort of hook up way with buddies I haven't seen in a year or so.
Eyeball QSOs is what we call it in the ham world.
Eyeball QSOs. Okay. Yeah. It's a meet and greet.
What you said was kind of gross.
Well, if you're under the age of 40, it is. If you're not, it's like, I'm going to hook up with you later at the gas station. I mean,
Jim,
if I
be
said
very
that to
happy-
the kids would mean,
Yeah. Be very happy that your daughter's not using that language. She's not old enough yet. You still have a couple years.
well, she just turned 14, right? And that means
Getting there.
she's 1 year away from 15. And I know what myself and some other 15-year-old girls, there were more than one, were doing when I was 15. And let's make this clear, we were all 15. But I'm like,
So it was illegal all around.
well, no, it's just kids being kids. It's not
Yeah.
it's not a sex crime if everybody's
you got
underage.
started late, Jim. Late bloomer.
Well, it wasn't for lack of trying, but then I found my mojo, and I can't deal with that. And then I think her mom wants to put her on birth control pills anyway, and I'm like, oh, Jesus, okay. I mean, I'm still traumatized. I'm still traumatized that she has to wear like a real bra.
I was gonna say, yeah, like when you buy your daughter her first bra, there's a moment, there's another first for dad that you really don't want to cross the line.
Oh my God, yeah. Her mom, she came over one time. This has been 5 or 6 years ago now, and her mom said she needs to start wearing a bra all the time. I've got a couple, but you need to get some to keep there. Oh my God, okay. And then like a year later, her mom tells me, dude, those bras you have for her are way too small. She needs like a 36B or something is what Melissa said. And I'm like,
holy moly.
What? She's a child. She doesn't need those things.
So great,
Tim,
man.
I'm with you, brother. Yeah. I wish.
There's an old saying, Tim. If you have a son, you only have one to worry about. If you have a daughter, you have all of them to worry about.
Oh yeah.
And that's about as PG as I could make it. Oh, Jason. Thank you, Jason.
Jason, thank you.
Reverend Jim. Nice. I see some correlation there. Yeah.
I get
We're
that.
old enough to understand that.
Have some Kool-Aid. Yeah, it's driving me nuts. And yeah, Lee, she's only 14, so she doesn't have a permit yet. But every time she comes over, we go driving. So I sit in the right seat of the truck, and she's in the left seat. God help us all. And she does okay. She hasn't really hit any real roads yet. We go down on the most isolated country roads there are, but
get her a riding lawnmower.
I have pointed out
one stone.
I have pointed out, yes, baby, you could go outside and practice your driving on that beautiful lawnmower that's sitting out there in the shed. No, I'm not mowing grass. Okay.
Wow. Well, she learned that from her father. I ain't cutting no grass.
You got a guy that does it. Why don't you call him? I ain't cutting
Yeah.
it.
Morning, Dane.
Oh my goodness. Dane, thank
Morning,
you.
cornbread.
Or thank you for being here. Good morning. Bill, how are you? I'm not a grandpa, Bill. I'm just a dad.
Yeah. No, I'm the grandpa.
Steve is the grandpa.
4
Cooley.
times over.
Cooley has 4 daughters. So yeah, he feels the pain. Cornbread said he has the daughter they wrote the book on. Oh. I just don't want her hanging out with kids like I was. I mean, I was the guy that, your mom didn't want you to hang. You need to stay away from that Jim kid. He's sketchy. You only knew. Anyway.
Twinkle, twinkle, periwinkle.
James, look at that. He got a new mower yesterday. You can tell we're all old guys. I got a new mower and a ham radio coming. I'm in high cotton.
I got to tell you, the best thing about RV living, I don't have to cut grass no more.
Dude, I know. I'm actually pretty jealous of that.
The worst part about RV living is I can't have an antenna out because there's always a impending threat of grass cutting coming.
Right.
No ground radials.
Well, that's a problem I deal with too, because when the weekend, he cuts every other weekend, and so we alternate because I'm too cheap to pay him to cut every week. And I don't mind cutting grass. He does the weed eating every other week, but yeah.
Well, in my official
let me
house,
think.
the
Where are all
ground
my
radials
radials at today? I need to secure them.
Yeah. In the official house, the ground radials were in a place where no grass was allowed. So
Yeah.
I never had to worry about it. Like I had control over that lawn situation.
Oh, absolutely.
5 great grandkids, Bill. Is there anything you don't do right? Make
Bill.
sure you heard that correct. Rewind it if it offended you.
And Hacks, absolutely.
Bill, like I tell my, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say Hacks. She does cook and helps with groceries and that kind of stuff. But yeah.
I was gonna say I tell my wife all the time, if I say something and it could be taken 2 ways and one of them offends you, I meant the other one.
I meant the offensive way.
I meant the non-offensive way, Jim.
Oh, okay. All right. Marvin said he sees his lawn guy every day.
Wow.
Jordan's out in the sticks, so he only mows once a month. Well, that's what got me started with the lawn guy. I don't mind cutting grass. It takes me like 45 minutes to cut everything, and I'm done.
3 hours, rookie numbers.
But I don't I hate weed eating. Hate it because we have a lot of weed eating along the fence and all that kind of stuff. So I started paying this guy to come weed eat every couple of weeks, and then that kind of has evolved into, oh hell, go ahead and mow too, and I pay him a little bit more. And
Jim, there's a movement we can get behind. No mow May.
I could dig it. I could absolutely dig it. I mean, I don't enjoy cutting grass, but
it's great for audiobooks.
I embrace the suck, and I've got some nice what are those 3M Bluetooth AM FM cans, and I just put on tunes or an audiobook and boogie on. But yeah, grass sucks. So Tio, are you planning to buy anything at Hamvention?
I am planning my best to not buy anything. I will be unsuccessful as always, but I try not to. I have so much stuff to do in here already, and more stuff always shows up to do.
And you're kind of space limited anyway, yeah.
Well, I mean, I did some math the other day. I have 8 years worth of ham radio projects to share with y'all at 3 videos a week.
So sometime 8 years from now, you'll be showing stuff that was new technology around 1975.
Well, all of that stuff gets interrupted with new stuff that comes out that I want to share with y'all. So technically, I mean, that's 8 years of just static projects sitting still.
Right.
It's not 8 years of actual video delivery.
Yeah. No mow May, no shave November. I'm with you, Marvin. Absolutely. I'm jealous that you have projects lined up that far in advance. I think that's cool and somewhat insane, but it's
a whole nother problem. Yeah.
Yeah. I've always got 3 or 4 things I want to work on, that I'm trying to get done. And that's about as far ahead as I think. like usually by this time, right after the show this morning, normally I would be like, okay, I need to work on a video today because I need to put out a video, because I try to get one out a week, and most weeks I succeed. And you know, I want to do something that's, I think, reasonably interesting and generally doesn't require an overly complicated setup or a lot of weird editing afterwards, or going outside if I can help it. Because Montgomery, Alabama has now officially turned into the hot swamp of the fire swamp until probably November.
We're just digging out a mud season up here in Wisconsin.
Yeah. Right, Chris? Exactly. The TNC road took forever.
Yeah, see, that was one of those things where I just kind of had to end it. So we left on a high note. We got them working. We did the thing, but there's still more content on the table for TNC stuff.
Kind of like SDRs.
Yeah, we kind of wore that one out too. But that's what we do on Nuggets.
Indeed. And always have a good time doing it. And sometimes success happens, and sometimes it...
Oh, success is not part of the show. Yeah.
Right. Failure is always an option.
Yeah.
Well,
success is hanging out.
Right. Which is kind of what we do here. I'm not looking to buy anything either. I'm looking to sell some stuff at Dayton.
Oh, I got a lot of stuff for sale.
Of my own. So you're renting a car and driving, right?
Yes.
That's your plan?
Well, I'm not taking Great White down at 11.7 miles to the gallon with the most expensive fuel on the planet. So
Mrs. T.O. is not coming with you either?
No.
Okay.
She's staying home with all the guns to protect the investment here.
I'm picturing her standing on the front porch in a pioneer dress with a shotgun.
Pretty close.
That's I just could see Chris doing that. Yeah.
I'm a pretty good shot, but she's better than me.
Oh boy. Well, women have better eyes.
Women also don't have pride in the way. Like men are born knowing how to shoot and then have to be untaught all that mess that they think they know.
Right.
Women are born not knowing how to shoot and take instruction very well. I'm a certified firearms instructor, so
I'm a certified self-taught guy. But I'm not planning on buying anything. I've got some stuff I want to sell. Not a whole lot. I'll have some rail kits at the Coffee and Ham Radios table that I printed out of PCTG plastic for various radios. But
Bill, I love you. Bill says he's going to buy some of our stuff.
Come on, Bill. But I think I have you know that radio we were talking about yesterday? That's the FT208R.
The Yaesu brick, for those of us that in the chat that weren't in the phone call that Jim and I had yesterday.
Yeah. The Yaesu brick and the which is the wall charger for it, a couple of batteries, the whole radio, the manual, the documentation, all the case candy.
James is asking what I got for sale. I will drop the current list in
T.O. has
the Discord.
T.O. has a large list of stuff. I mean, I'll have like 5 or 6 things plus the 3D stuff I'm gonna sell, but I'm not looking to come home. I'm looking to come home with less crap than I took to Dayton. That is my goal. Probably not achievable. Right. Probably just a wild dream, but
so I'm going to stick the list in the Discord in the swap meets section. Jim, do you have a link for the Toads Discord up in the chat anywhere?
Pinned to top.
Awesome.
I learned that from you.
So this is the current list of things.
And Jimmy, I just bought that radio last year at Dayton. I have played with it. I have enjoyed it, and it's been in the box since probably a month after Dayton last year. And I will let it go for what I paid for it. I have a step attenuator I bought from the ARRL auction, and it's not what I wanted, so I'm going to sell it.
It is a lovely step attenuator. It's just not what Jim wanted.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It works fine. It's just not what I wanted. I didn't pay attention to the auction listing. Story of my life. And then the Yaesu 2800M radio. And that's about it for me to sell. But I like going to Hamfest because I like the flea market. I mean, the vendor stuff, whatever. But I could spend days perusing the flea market and finding stuff I didn't know I needed that's super cool. You know, I mean, I don't think I'm coming back with a hex beam or anything in my truck, but you just never know what you find. Like there was one guy a couple years ago, and he's probably there last year too. I don't remember his name or anything. He had kind of a tent set up over 2 or 3 spots, and you actually had to walk inside his tent. Dude had like boxes of fluke clamp meters.
Oh, nice.
And I'm kicking myself for not grabbing one. I think Ape did, but all sorts of stuff. And radios, if you're looking for a specific radio, especially if you're new to amateur radio and you want to find a deal, Hamfest is a pretty darn good place to find one, because if anybody schlepped it there, they want you to buy it so they don't have to schlep it back home. So you can get some pretty good deals. The only thing, you need to be wary of is, and this is a gut thing, a Zen thing, how well do you trust the guy you're buying it from? A lot of guys will have power where you can plug it in and at least see the lights come on. And like at Huntsville, the Huntsville Radio Club, and I can't remember their call sign, they actually have a test table set up. And see,
Bring you a Denko.
that is a great plan.
It'll fit in the pocket of your cargo shorts. And I would also recommend, because I know I would be a little weary of that. Where is it?
That's a great idea.
Bring a little multimeter that you can plug into your battery to prove that your battery is safe to the person whose radio you're wanting to insert tab A into slot B of. So
Yeah.
this would be a nice little setup. This is a $12 meter. So, and then this is the Denko battery, which you guys probably have batteries, but Dennis makes awesome batteries.
Yeah,
The
that's a
Prison
good
Edition
size.
is super sexy. This is 5.5 amp hours.
The Prison Edition, which is more than enough to test out 5 or 10 or 20 radios walking around at Hamfest.
Another one that's even smaller that'll power the radio on. This will work for QRP. This is W0AEZ. Kevin makes this. So you get this radio here, this battery here, in this nice 3D printed case with a USB-C port, and then you get this cable, which converts it to 12-volt barrel jack, and then you can get another cable that'll
25.
Yeah, you can get another cable that'll convert this over to power poles if you wanted that. But this actually works for most QRP radios, the 705, the 6100, etc.
Oh, see, that's a great idea.
And this will easily fit in your pocket.
Yeah, any of those battery packs are great. I don't know if I have any here at hand at the moment, but you can get those. They're longer and flatter. So if you have cargo pants or something like that on, which is honestly the uniform of hams,
right?
Yeah, all that stuff will slide to cargo pants, and you could get jiggy and put an expandy key ring on your belt to hold the ends of it. You'd be like, let me check it with my battery cable.
Yeah.
Be all fancy. So speaking of batteries and power.
Show topic, maybe?
Well, this is a free-form thing. I mean, it ain't Clubhouse. Nothing's Clubhouse. Right. No alcohol has been harmed in this show. But what do you want to take with you when you're operating portable? Because I know the list is long and the list varies from person to person. And I think the biggest thing is probably batteries. What size battery do you carry with you? Now, as someone who does not Pota, especially out in the wild, because I know a bunch of you have said, well, doing Pota from the Huntsville in your cabin doesn't count as Pota. Correct.
It does.
Yeah. I was in air conditioning.
Truck?
Yeah. And actually, that's a very good point, Aloysius. Yeah. An Anderson to Wago adapter.
If you're looking to buy a mobile radio, bring a T cable to battery cable, because most mobiles have the T cable. Come equipped to test the stuff that you want to come equipped with. Like, you really don't even need to bring an antenna. You just need to gently touch the center conductor on the SO239 with a key, not like shove it in there, and that's enough metal to receive signal.
Yeah.
It's not the right ohm. Don't try to make contacts. Now, where you're going to run into a problem is trying to transmit. You have no way to test transmitting. So if you're
Right.
really serious and you're really worried, the way that I do it is I don't bring I don't buy something that isn't priced appropriately for me to invest my time and efforts in fixing it.
That's a good
I
point.
assume it's wrong. I assume it's broken.
Yeah. So I'm seeing 6 amp hour, 20 amp hour. And realistically, I guess that depends on how you're doing your portable operations. If you're doing sideband, a 6 amp hour is going to last you.
Yeah. I did an activation with an FT891. I can't remember the numbers that I got. It's in the video. That's why I can't remember it. Why I remember something I've written down. 5 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery, FT891, which is a power hungry radio. And I got at least 100 contacts, if not more, before the battery. Like the mission of that video was to go out and drain that battery.
To run the battery down?
CQ, oops. And it
Click.
worked.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I don't now if you're doing FT8 Pota,
Yeah, much
your
less
battery
time.
your battery life will be a good bit less because of the difference in duty
But
cycle.
you'll still complete the activation. You just won't have 3-digit contact numbers.
And Lee said 15 to run 100 watts. He ain't got time for QRP. Aloysius does a 20, and he flies with a 12. But and Denko is out of stock on batteries. Yeah, Dennis is stock. These are all handcrafted kits, so they're artisanal battery kits.
Yes.
And
or
then
you can get the kit and build it yourself.
And then getting parts is probably problematic too, with the tariff stuff happening at the
Chris,
moment.
you're one of the awesome ones. Chris brings gear to his own flea market table to test the things that he's selling. Like, not only is my stuff good, but feel free to not take my word for it.
Right. Well, and that was the case at Orlando, where the guy that I bought the 710 from, he had power. We plugged that thing in and it lit up and let me change the the Kenwood 710. Let me change the knobs and everything changed and I could see the screen and good to go. So I guess it just kind of depends. Like at the car booth, we are going to have power there more for keeping cell phones charged or stuff like that. But you know, if you're static, one of those power banks, and you're good. You've got 12-volt cigarette lighter adapter on most of those. You've got USB. Some of those have the magnetic charging on them as well for keeping phones charged. And I think that would be something I would consider if I was out and about, or for our Canadian friends out in the boot, would be to have the battery I'm running the radio off of and then separate power for cell phone hotspot, recharging, you know, whatever, that kind of thing. So Steve did
laughing at Iceman. Did you see him?
You got awful quiet. I did see that. And
yeah, like any females
Iceman,
watch this show.
Right. Elodie might show up, but she was doing something this morning. She's the only one I think we've seen in here. Iceman, thank you for the super chat, brother.
Maybe half a female in the chat. And I'm not saying anything derogatory against females. Right. You know, like 2.75 children or whatever it is. Statistics. That's a hard word to say. Thank you, Iceman.
Well, we just lost about 10 because it was 123 just a couple minutes ago.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest challenge, and this goes to what Steve was talking about with the Hamfest, is having all the bloody connectors when you're out mobile in any fashion and wanting to do ham things, right? So like somebody mentioned the Wago to power pole adapter, which is a great idea because you have bare wire connectors, you have spade terminals, you have the U-shaped dinguses, you have ring terminals, the circle things, power poles, and it gets to be a giant pain in the butt. And one of the things I've thought about would be, and I may start working on this, based on the USB-C to barrel jack connector. In my mind, you could make a multi-headed cable wired together so with that USB-C power out of that brick, with the PD trigger to make it go to 12 volts, right? And then make a cable to mate to the barrel connector, and then on the other end is power poles, ring terminals, spade terminals, whatever, so you could connect up. But it gets to be a pain in the butt, and I guarantee you, at some point in your life, you will not have the correct adapter to do the thing. And generally, it'll be when you drove 50 miles to a park or something like that.
Right. I got a video coming out on that. Always check your setup before you leave. Because you're either going to have to, you're either missing something minor and it's an inconvenience, or you're missing something major and it's a failed activation.
Yeah. And this goes, or for field day, either field day, winter field day, which I think is not real field day, right? And then field day.
Oh, it's not real field day in the same way that operating Pota from a cabin at Huntsville is not real Pota.
Right. Okay. I was technically in a park.
Yes.
And the air conditioner was running. I wasn't outside on the porch because bugs,
Yeah, I know. Ew.
Steve, alligator clips, also an outstanding point to have because you can connect them to just darn near anything. W9FHC Steve, not Steve on the screen, Steve.
Right.
And, the connector thing, not only power, but I guarantee you at some point you're going to be missing that BNC female to SO239 adapter that you desperately need, or the N to BNC, or some random connector. And if I have any psychological problems, I believe that I'm paranoid about not having the right connect. It was like my Rig Expert case that I put together has the Rig Expert in it. It also has my Libra VNA, but I have 2 or 3 of every adapter known to mankind in there for hooking up an antenna wire to it. So like SMA connectors to SO, N to SMA, whatever. And the thing weighs, probably 5 pounds with all the dang connectors in it, but I'm always paranoid about that. And then Coax is the other thing. So do you carry a Coax repair kit with you when you go out portable, or you just
Nope.
got Coax, that's it, and if it gets dorked, you're good?
Maybe 2 sets of Coax? I don't know.
Yeah.
At some point, so here's a way that I look at things that might be controversial, might be something that people haven't thought of yet. There's
Badger, thank you.
Thank you, Badger. Welcome. There is a saying that I picked up, I don't even remember where, probably 15 years ago. An adventure is what you get when you didn't get what you planned for.
Yeah.
And so I try to be extra resilient. So I went out with a couple of hams, and the only radio that I brought was a 2-meter mobile. And they were really intent on racking up the contacts and making a lot of contacts. And on top of that, it was a very difficult location. So like if it's a really good, really easy activation, I got my 10, it was shooting fish in a barrel, I'm just going to pass the mic, you have fun. If it's a really difficult activation, it's actually more interesting, and you spend more time trying to figure out, like, what can I change to make contacts, what works. This was inside of what we call a box canyon. So there's one way in and one way out, and I went in the only way in, and that's the only way the signal's going out because there's mountains all around me.
Box canyon, yeah.
Yeah. And so they were busy being frustrated, changing antennas, changing modes, changing radios, changing everything, and I'm just kind of watching. It was a fun day, and then I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just try 2 meters on the mobile? So the Redivis MA1 50-watt mobile mounted in the car with the car-mounted antenna, I was actually able to get the park activated on 2 meters. And what I did was I drummed up business on a repeater, and I said, anybody on the repeater today, I'm doing a Parks on the Air activation. Anybody available for a QSY to simplex to see if we can do it? And they were all excited to see if their radio could connect to my radio.
Could hit the park.
Simplex.
That's cool. Mm-hmm.
And then I go on 5.2 and I call CQ because repeater contacts don't count for Pota activations unless they're satellite. So at the end of the day, I walked home with a big W on the board, a big win. And didn't expect it at all. Like I took a situation that was not working for me. I wasn't going to be able to activate
and
that
made
day,
it happen. That's cool.
and made it happen. And I was like, that's like multiple wins. Number one, I got the park activated. Number two, I did it on 2 meters. Number three, I did it without thinking I even brought enough equipment to make it happen. You know, like just excitement all around was pretty cool.
And if you want a guaranteed 2-meter activation, guaranteed fish in a barrel, go to Huntsville, go to Montesano, or within simplex range of Montesano.
Yeah.
And because I guarantee if you key up on 5.2 and go CQ Pota, you can't write fast enough.
And
you'll
simplex range of Montesano Mountain,
is
3,000 foot elevation above town, is actually, 30 miles easy.
1,500, dude, 1,600.
The mountain?
Yeah, it's not no 3,000 feet.
I thought it was 3,000.
Negative bet, man.
Now I got to look it up. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm trust
saying I'm wrong. We've looked this up before on stream.
I'm doing it again.
And it depends.
Elevation 1621 feet. Big
Yeah.
W for Jim.
Yeah. Occasionally, even a blind squirrel can find a nut. So the thing with Huntsville too is it depends on. It is, Ken. It's a steep hill, but also would depend on what side of the rock you're on too, right? If you're on the backside from town. But the first year that I went to Huntsville, that we shared a cabin together, you did a 2-meter. You didn't do a Pota, but you did some 2-meter from the cabin, right? Before I even got there. So I thought you were telling me about it.
I did, yeah. I took that radio. That was when Gigaparts came out with their
the
Explorer
Explorer
QRZ1 radio.
Yeah.
And I was just like keying up on 5.2 to see what was going on. And I got somebody 25 miles away, 5 watts on a handheld rubber ducky. I was like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah. And that's a good radio. Chuck W4XP, it is a soda entity and a Pota entity as
It
well.
is. Yep. And I've never done a soda from there.
Likely the only soda I would ever be on, because I can drive up and sit in my cabin.
I don't know where the activation zone is, which is why I haven't done it. So I've got to figure it out.
We should look at that this year. We should plan for that.
My mission for this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch it be from the campground in the camper.
we're going to be there for 4 or 5 days. You're going to be there all week, aren't you?
Yeah, it's technically against the rules to activate from within the camper. I know, for soda.
Are you bringing the camper to Huntsville?
I am not bringing the camper at this point.
Okay.
At this time.
Right. Anyway, what else, what were we talking about? Because I got myself
battery power activations. Taking
the
right stuff with you.
Coax. We talked about Coax. Yeah, I would probably bring 2 pieces, and I'm not bringing RG213 or LMR 400. I'm going to be bringing RG8X. I'm sure somebody out there is going, "Oh, that has way more signal loss." Yeah, at 100 feet, but I'm not rolling out 100 feet of it. Might be rolling out 25 or 30 feet at most, just so my brain is not right by the antenna wire. But
yeah, I mean, I'll take RG174 on an activation.
Yeah.
It's horrible for HF, but it's super lightweight. I mean, I can pocket 25 feet of RG174.
Yeah.
Try doing that with 213. RG213, what are you looking at? 10 pounds?
probably, yeah.
And a circle this big?
Oh yeah, because you can't. Yeah, it will not roll up very small. It's just
that's 2 to 3 feet for reference.
Sure, and that's 6 inches, right?
Well, I mean, I'm 6 foot tall, so my wingspan is 6 foot. So
Right.
this is 2 to 3 feet.
So I mean, there's a lot of stuff to consider, and the weight
Yep.
starts to add up. By the time you go, I need this and I need that, and I don't know if he's watching. He's probably not watching. He's probably not awake yet. This is where, if you want to do antenna analyzing while you're out in the field, bring the Nano VNA instead of the Rig Expert, because it's a hell of a lot smaller than a Rig Expert.
You don't have a Rig Expert stick.
No, I had one. I sold it when I bought my 1400 Rig Expert, and the Rig Expert stick is nice. It's a sweet piece of kit.
And they're proud of it too.
Yeah.
That's why I don't have one.
Well, you can catch them on sale when they're closing out an older model, right?
Yeah, but their sale price is still more expensive than the Nano VNA H4.
Okay, taking out the comparison between cheap Chinese stuff and real gear, I I got an AA 1400 for $450. And if you go price the nearest one to the 1400 today, it's probably $900 to $1,400, somewhere in there. I don't know how much. So when Gigaparts was listed an AA 1400 for $450, I was like, I'm buying this. Because I had just bought the Stick Pro like 3 months earlier. And was happy with it because it went all the way up to 600 megahertz. So it's like, Bob's your uncle. I'm good. But, you know, weight becomes a thing, especially if you're doing soda. Now let's talk about antennas. What antenna are you bringing if you're specifically going out to a Pota? What's your go-to Pota antenna or portable antenna?
This is where it gets difficult because generally speaking, I go to a Pota to test an antenna. So it's always something new. But my go-to antenna would be like, out of all the go bags I make, I usually have antenna bags separate. And so that's where it gets a little weird. Like that's a very hard question. I mean, I don't have a dedicated Pota pack. I have many packs, but I don't have one that's just dedicated to Pota.
Well, I said Pota, and this could be portable operation at field day or whatever. And field day may not be a valid comparison.
Badger is correct, though.
Well, exactly right, Badger.
I actually, tell you the truth, I think an NFET half wave would probably be good in that scenario. The way I would do it with an NFET half wave would be to set it up NVIS style. So I'd hook it to the picnic table and I'd hook it to a tree horizontally straight out.
Yeah.
So we're talking, 3 to 4 feet off the ground, and you get contacts, all day long. I did half the U.S. from Indiana
in an NVIS config
setup. Yep.
Which makes an NFED, which makes that antenna even better.
Yeah.
Because no tuner at all.
I mean, the biggest concern, the biggest problem is either throwing a rope in a tree and you've got to get up 65 feet. So there's a feat of strength that needs to occur. Or carrying a mast, and then you're doing a sloper. So I need the mast and I need 2 anchors. And, one anchor's the feed point, the other anchor's the far end of the antenna.
Right.
So it's just, in my mind, I want to get in, get Pota'd, and get done. And that's personal restrictions. Like if I'm going to a park for the day, I'm bringing Mrs. T.O. with me, and she doesn't want to sit there while I do, ham radio activation, 300 contact Pota journey.
That ungrateful woman.
I know.
Jordan makes a good point here. What you got?
Yep.
That's
what you got.
You may not have the perfect antenna because there ain't a perfect antenna. In my opinion, the most perfect antenna that I've ever had has got to be the DX Commander. And this is not a paid advertisement. Callum probably barely knows me. And he told Steve to shut up on stream one time too, which was absolutely hilarious.
There was some colorful language in there.
Shut the front door up. That's right.
Yep.
And I was just like, and that was pretty new on Coffee and Ham Radios when that happened too. I'm like, well, okay. I don't know how to, I'm just going to sit here. Anyway, so it just depends. Would I take a DX Commander portable? Oh, hell no. Hell no.
Does it work? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But again, Jim's not that kind of activator. He doesn't like to be outdoors, and he doesn't want to take half an hour to set up the antenna and half an hour to drop it down.
Yeah.
And that's Jim speed. That's not DX Commander speed.
Yeah. I mean, and some people have got Matt here, and I don't have a link to his YouTube channel, but Matt has done a couple videos on deploying a DX Commander, and he's got his system down, and it's what he does. He takes it out and uses it. And it was a great video and very good.
And he's got pre-field prep, which is what we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
To make setting that antenna up better. So like K8MRD, I taught him this, and I don't know if he even remembers, but it's like the end plates on the bottom of the DX Commander, they take up so much room. Hey, Evan.
Evan Barsnack.
Which is true. I'm like, Mike, just leave them on the mast. Leave the 2 bottom plates on the mast and connected. Don't take them off ever. And that's the way he stores it in his car now. Yeah.
That makes it a lot easier. The other thing that I want to experiment with, and I have a DX, which one do I have? The Rapide that I'm not actually using right now. And I want to set it up in a temporary situation I think I saw Callum say something about using 2-meter radials, and you've tested moving the radials around doesn't really change a whole lot.
No, in near saltwater, no less.
Yeah, near saltwater, no less. So I'm like, let's see,
It
two
makes a
meter
difference that you
radials,
can't feel.
2-meter radials versus 3 or 4-meter radials, 15 or 20-foot radials, right? Versus
Yeah.
6-foot radials. And I'd probably just call them 6 feet and be done with it. But so I think 2 meters is like 6.5 feet, slightly longer than 6.5. But I'm like, that would make life a whole lot easier anyway. But still, it's very fiddly because you have to run the wires up through the separator thing, and I'm never going to do that. The end-fed half wave and an NVIS that Steve mentioned, honestly, never thought about that, but that's a genius setup because that's
Yep.
stupid easy.
KM4ACK taught me that one.
And no tuner. No tuner, right? Did you do 20
just one
meters
time.
or
40?
40?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's awesome. Now, me personally, and this is what I'm going to do at Huntsville, I'm going to have the Poseidon, and I'm going to tie the end of it to a carbon or a fiberglass mast, raise it up, lean it against a tree, run the coax back to my cabin, and I'm done. And that took 5 minutes. And with 4 radials, it doesn't take long to set up or take down. Now, you got to have a tuner with that. So if you want to schlep a tuner, you're good. If you don't want to carry a tuner, then that changes your options too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that one is better than the other specifically. I guess a vertical is probably noisier than an end-fed half wave.
Not in a park.
Doesn't matter.
Unless it's an RV park.
Okay.
So the reason why that thought process exists, and you're right, the noise from all your appliances and life
Right.
accoutrement comes in at the same radiation angle that your vertical is set up for. So you hear it more because you're properly polarized to receive it. Noise is still there on the other antenna. It's just the other antenna is
Depends on the polarization. Yeah.
orientationally challenged.
So Ronnie, apparently I'm not the only one that saw that then. I was afraid I might have been hallucinating, dude. Thank you for validating that. I thought I'd remembered Callum in one of his videos talking about 2-meter radials. So I'm going to re-radial all my antennas and get rid of them long wires so the lawnmower guy has less chance of dorking something up.
5 groups of 4 at 2 meters is that's actually worth it.
Yeah, I mean.
So lots of short radials.
Yeah.
What band was that?
I don't remember what band. Maybe Ronnie does, but I don't remember.
I watched the video, but I didn't pay enough attention to it, so I missed that part.
Well, I've got 5 groups. So on my Classic, which is what is hooked to the Flex right now, on the Classic, I have 5 or 6 groups of radials that have been cut by the weed eater or the lawnmower that I have rewired onto to make them like 3 to 4 meters long. And understand my 3 to 4 meters is country meters. Close enough. Some of them are pretty long. Some of them are not nearly as long. And, one thing I have started doing where the antenna is at now, I do kind of, instead of spreading them out in a star pattern around the antenna, the longer ones especially, I will bring out and then loop back. So it's like a grid or whatever, a little bit. I mean, I think most of that is, though, you want the metal on the ground is what you're after. And I don't think it matters from what you've seen and what I've read that how it's laid out on the ground specifically, right? Just got to be on the ground.
Yeah, so I mean, the myth that I was trying to prove or disprove was that saltwater made a real big difference. And what I did was I put up my radials broadside to the saltwater and towards the saltwater, and ran an FT8 session and did the PSK reporter map. And then I put up the radials broadside to the saltwater and away from the saltwater and did the exact same polar opposite FT8 session and gathered the maps. And what I saw was not enough of a difference to make a difference for that kind of activation. And I say this a lot, like run the antenna that you have. Be happy making contacts. If you want to make a targeted contact, if you're trying, like if I'm trying very specifically from Wisconsin to make a contact with Jim specifically, my antenna matters a lot. If I'm trying to make 10 contacts to activate a park, my antenna matters in that it must exist, but it doesn't matter in what kind of antenna it is. Can I do better with one than the other? Sure, but I'm trying to get contacts all over the world. I don't care. Versus I'm trying to get
A
Montgomery,
specific
Alabama.
contact. Yeah. Yeah.
You need a different antenna for those two scenarios. And also, if Jim's running a vertical and I'm running a horizontal, I'm going to be, Jim's going to go right over my head in Wisconsin because of the takeoff angle.
Yeah.
We're never going to talk to each other. But if Jim was 2 miles down the street on a 20-meter vertical and I'm on a 20-meter vertical, we'd actually hit each other's antennas and make a contact before we got to the skip zone. So
Right.
it depends on what your actual mission is. And my mission most of the time is just to make random contacts.
Make contacts. Yeah.
Put numbers in the log.
Well, that's the other thing about, and I keep mentioning Huntsville because this is where I've done it, but yeah, you could make HF contacts in the park. I think we did 20 meters park to park. I'm sure I have some.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
20-meter park to park at Montesano at US 1024.
Mhm.
And
Well, Carlos and I did the same thing. We just worked front end overload essentially.
yeah. Lee, so
Radio
what
decent.
what antenna are you using? 6 radials of 3 meters. Is that a DX Commander?
Yeah, because there's some argument in the chat now as to whether it was 2 meters, 2.5 meters, and now 3 meters for the DX Commander, if that's what Lee's using.
I think
Again, everything works, just some things work better than other things, depending on your mission.
Yeah. I got to say the Poseidon is just the easiest thing we've ever done. First of all,
Super easy.
wrapping the toroid is not nearly as complicated as something like the Apollo where you're doing a 49-1. The Ares is not bad, other than you've got 3 wires you've got to, keep straight. But and the Ares requires a tuner too. Huh? What, Tio?
Jordan didn't miss anything. He said he missed about 3 minutes. No, you didn't.
Oh. So,
Nicely. Thank you.
And Bill, 2.5 meter radials, 5 groups of 4. I mean, I think that's about what I got. 5 or 6 groups of 4 that are 3+ meters long. Probably.
I am not ashamed to use a 17-foot whip and a tuner. I mean, I realize that you can actually go out and you can shrink the whip down to get anything 20 meters and above, but I can also just hit that tune button.
Todd, that's it, buddy. Is that Florida Todd or Tall Todd? Or is that a different Todd?
That's Tall Florida Todd.
Tall Florida Todd. That's true. Yeah, I was thinking that was Tall Florida Todd. And that guy does Pota a lot. He's activated toads in multiple states, I know.
And the reason he's Tall Florida Todd is because there is a Short Florida Todd.
Right.
He's got a 4-letter call and it's escaping me right now.
I can't think of it either. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up with comments. Hacks, that's an interesting question. I think Carlos has probably asked them that.
Yes, they do. They do count. But it's not impossible, but there's a lot of stuff going on when you're parachuting.
Right. I think we're about at the end of the show. I don't know. I mean, there's so many options when you go portable, but I think it comes down to what T.O. said. And he said it more than once in multiple streams on multiple shows. What is your mission? And somebody emailed Carr yesterday, and I can't remember his name, and I answered him back. He just bought a QMX something radio, which is one of those small ones. Mm-hmm. And he really wants to get one of Coffee and Ham Radio's antennas. And he asked, which one is the best for this radio? Well, kind of depends. What are you going to do with the radio?
There's no tuner in that radio.
Yeah, I answered back with him. I said, I don't know about that radio specifically. But for ease of deployment, a Poseidon. But you got to have a tuner. And I told him that. And I said, for a permanent install, a Kronos, but you got to have a tuner. If you don't want to
a QMX on a permanent install. Well, I mean, you can, but
why? It's kind of weird. Yeah. And I said, if you're planning on doing portable and you don't want to have to worry about tuner, then you want an Apollo. And
I don't know, man. Hang on. Chris wants to know which Chris he is. Unfortunately, he's going to be, pork chop ketchup Chris. Some clever variation of that. If we're still friends.
Pork chop ketchup Chris. I thought he was hot dog ketchup
That's
Chris.
An inside joke. He was
Right.
saying he was going to get a pork chop sandwich and put ketchup on it and stand outside of the car booth and eat it just to piss us off.
Oh, I missed that. I missed that comment. I knew it was
Yeah.
something on ketchup, and we had just talked about hot dogs, so I thought he was one of those heathens. But yeah, it's a crisis, a Chris crisis,
A Chris's, yeah, I like it.
a crisis.
You're
Anyway,
Darklight. You named yourself in the Discord. Your handle pre-existed us.
right.
So we just accepted it.
And then he comes in here with I'm Christopher Andrews. Well, really?
I just remember the VK4 DL, Darklight DL.
Darklight, yeah. All right. Well, guys, I think that's about it for today. I want to say failure has many friends. We were not involved in coming up with the show today. That was all me. But I mean, there's just so many things you can think about. And I don't really want to get into doing this. We didn't really have any good rants. We just kind of vamped for 30 minutes, but
there's a good rant. It's so good. It's so spicy. I don't think that I'm going to put this one public, but I do have a very spicy video that I'm going to drop as soon as Jim hits the hang up video.
I can't wait.
This is going to be interesting because it's going to challenge a lot of OM beliefs. There's this thing called the Mandala effect, and there's the Mandala effect in ham radio, and that's what the video is about. There's actually several versions of the Mandala, but this one is the one I'm ranting about in the video I'm dropping, and I'm doing it out of my normal schedule because I think it's going to be controversial and do pretty well. So you're
gonna upset some people.
There are people who just are unable to change their minds.
Right.
Unable,
it is really going to make Ape go crazy. And you know what he said the